He is driving the car. Everybody, including LeBron, is in the back seat. I do think he is, face of the league. I don't know, but it is kind of his league, right? This morning?
It's not kind of. Yeah, listen, if we're going to be fair about it, and listen, folks have accused me of having an agenda. I don't know what has ever given anyone the idea that I have an agenda. I'm just an arbiter of truth. And if we're being fair and agenda-free, Giannis is the best player in the league right now. Now, can that be taken back from him? Yes. Do I think next year, early finals prediction, Bucks-Lakers, crown hanging over center court, like a WWE match, ladder match, where the belt hangs above it. That'll be great. It'll be amazing to see. But Giannis, when at 24 you win league MVP, at 25 you win league MVP and Defensive Player of the Year, and at 26 you go toe-to-toe with Kevin Durant in a Game 7 in his building and outplay him in that game, score the game-tying shot on him in overtime, and then you go to the finals and 40-13 was your third best game of the finals. Think about Giannis's 6 games in the finals. 20-17, then a 40-13 in a loss, then 40-10 in a win, then the block, then the alley-oop, then 50-piece to win the championship, which has only been done by Bob Pettit 60 years ago.
Yeah.
You get to be the best player in the league. That's what you get, and we'll see if someone can take it back from him next year.
Manuel Ocho brought this up last night. At 26, Michael Jordan had MVPs but no title. LeBron had many MVPs but no title. And Giannis has an MVP and a title and a finals MVP. Do you see it playing out like that as an all-time great? I mean, right now, he's got what they didn't have at 26.
But Colin, after last night, he's already an all-time great. You can't anymore make a credible list of the 25 greatest players in league history and not have Giannis on it. Giannis going into last night lived, on the different tiers. He was beneath Scottie Pippen, Kevin McHale. He was living with Clyde Drexler. Now he has ascended past Kevin Garnett. He's staring Dirk and D Wade and Barkley and Malone all in the eyes. And we'll see how high he can get. The only person in the last 60 years in the NBA to, at a younger age, have at least 2 MVPs and a championship is Kareem. And Kareem's the 3rd greatest player ever. So what more could he have accomplished at this point in his career? The answer is nothing. And I don't know who is stopping him. Now, does that mean he's going to win 5 rings? No, of course not. But he doesn't, we're now talking about, could he become one of the 10 greatest players ever? Well, I don't see why not. Is he there yet? No. If he stops playing today, though, he's one of the 25 greatest players.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. And I do think there's something to be said. Like with Mahomes, we have anointed him to a place. He's only got 1 Super Bowl, right? And he trailed in the 4th quarter. But we look at him and go, oh, he does stuff nobody else can do. And I do think there is a visual component. As good as Kevin Garnett and Drexler were, or Barkley, they didn't look this physically dominant on both ends. And I think when we're making these, sports bar arguments, and Giannis has that block, and I'm like, well, nobody else in the league could have done that block. When Dr. J did under the basket, nobody else in basketball could do it. Michael Jordan switching hands. There are moments in these arguments, it can't just come down to data, stats, and titles. It's Mahomes does stuff, and you're like, yeah, nobody else can make that throw. I don't care if he has 9 rings. I don't. And when I watched Giannis last night, I'm like, he had 2 plays in this series when he literally outruns all the guards down the floor for an alley-oop and the block. And I don't know, when I think of all-time great, Nick, I do have a visual component to it. Do you?
Of course. It's why it's so hard to evaluate the name that keeps getting mentioned. The only guy to do 50 in a closeout finals game is Bob Pettit. The reason no one ever talks about Bob Pettit as an all-time great is because no one alive saw him play except for Bob Ryan. So everyone's like, I don't know. I'll take his word for it. It seems like he was good, but who the hell actually knows? And so, that's a problem, right? Of course it's a visual thing. And I'm so sick of people. There's a few of the Giannis critiques that make me so frustrated. people are like, well, he's just so big and strong. First of all, there are 60 guys in the league as tall or taller than him. There's 55 guys in the league that weigh as much or weigh more than him. And while he didn't earn the height, he earned the weight. He put that muscle on. We have seen the pictures of him as a rookie. But the other element is this. It's like, wait, the big, strong, tall, super athletic guy is dominating? Yeah, that is the entirety of NBA history. Who dominated the 60s? Wilton Russell. The 70s, Kareem. Why was Kareem so good? Well, he was 7'2" and had a shot that literally no one could block. Now, Magic and Bird, that wasn't about raw athleticism. Michael was an amazing athlete, but he was average NBA height. But then we get to the 2000s. Oh, Shaquille O'Neal? Was it physical gifts? LeBron James? Yeah, basketball IQ out of this world. But he's also arguably the greatest natural athlete the world's ever seen. So, it makes sense that Giannis will dominate, and it makes sense that he should be great. And so, yeah, of course there's a visual component. And you mentioned Dr. J's hands, and you mentioned the iconic plays. The block and the dunk that he had in this series, you can count on less than one hand how many human beings alive could have done either of those things, much less both of them.
Yeah. By the way, what's Chris Paul's future? I do think the Lakers would fit, but there is something to be said about, I don't know if Frank Vogel's going to be there in a year. I know Monty Williams will. I mean, Chris has got a little vagabond. He's willing to grab his suitcase and travel, but I look at it and I think to myself, Phoenix feels right. That's how he should end his career. That's how I think about it this morning.
Well, maybe. And listen, Phoenix, assuming Robert Sarver doesn't go full Robert Sarver and decide just to be totally cheap, Phoenix will offer him more money than anybody or as much. But I'm not sure how much the money's going to matter. Four guys in NBA history have made $300 million on the court: LeBron, Garnett, Kobe, and Chris Paul. And I do wonder if Chris Paul getting a taste of the finals is going to say, what matters to me is not the 3 years, $100 million. What matters to me is getting back to this place. And while he wouldn't admit it, if we're being honest, Colin, right now, if someone were to offer you an even money wager, and I know you're a big time gambler these days, Colin, which is more likely? The Suns next year are back in the finals, or the Suns next year don't make round two? I think everyone is saying, well, if it's one or the other, I'll say they don't make round two. Because the Lakers will be back. Jamal Murray will be back with the Nuggets. I personally believe the Mavs will be super dangerous with Luka in year 4. And then you have Golden State lurking. And that's not even to mention, that's just assuming Kawhi's out for the year. Who knows what happens there? So I'm not sure what matters to Chris Paul. If it's not money, then obviously going to the Lakers makes a ton of sense.
By the way, don't you think it's interesting, and I know you're good friends with Aaron Rodgers, but
oh my God, you always say that.
The least...
Just because... Go ahead. Go ahead.
But Joy brings up a good point. The timing's not great for Rodgers. You have the least manipulative superstar in America and the most manipulative superstar in America in the same basic vicinity.
Yeah. Do you think the timing's worse for him or for this show as a collective? You Colin, who abandoned Giannis like a used rug on the side of the road. I don't even know if he was one of the 10 best players in the playoffs. And Joy Taylor, who was, doing a soft opening of a very strong anti-Giannis stance just a few weeks ago that I was trying to push her towards. I heard, you were saying we were having technical difficulties earlier. I think Joy literally got up and pulled the plug just to prevent me from reminding America that there was some real Giannis skepticism emanating from this gorgeous Herd Studios.
Yes.
And so, is it worse for Aaron or is it worse for you two? I'm not sure. That can be debated.
Good seeing you, buddy, as always. Nick Wright, first things first. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.